coming back home and taking what is rightly theirs. So let me say, this is the first ceremony, such ceremony I'm attending, and I do it in honor of our brothers and sisters who today are being given Ghanaian citizenship. The slave trade still remains the most evil act ever perpetrated by humans on other humans. Nothing in the history of mankind beats the evilness of the slave trade. We all are reminded when we see the symbols of this trade dotted along the coast of Africa, and especially along the coast of Ghana. Ghana has the most slave ports than any other country in Africa. And so it means that Ghana was an important exit route for most of our brothers and sisters who ended up in the diaspora as slaves. When you stand at the Cape Coast Castle or the Elmina Castle, and you stand in that archway that we call the door of no return, and you walk through the dungeons of these forts and castles, no sense of human imagination can capture the reality of the horror that took place in these forts and castles. Families separated from each other forever. The Atlantic Ocean was a huge chasm that divided the African continent from the New World, the so-called New World. And indeed, once you walk through that door, there is no possibility of return at the time. Today, we are here to turn that door of no return into a door of return.
I imagine that the emotions and the stereotype a lot of you here to Ghana may not be unlike what he explains here. So perhaps it's an opportunity gathering here as we are for you to indicate the various parents you brought home here, and even more importantly, what you think the government of Ghana can do to make your integration more complete, to make it more possible for you to contribute what you think you want to contribute, because there's nothing more endearing than somebody who comes to a place out of his or her own volition and love, want to live and contribute. And I think that if the government of Ghana and Ghanaian people can get this correct, there'll be a lot of, I don't know, comments from anybody.
Yeah, Moses, let us get orderly fashion. The submission of questions that may come forward. Have you listed it accordingly?
We shall take the first question from Mr. Dawudi Mahali. And please, you should speak.
And feel free to tell us everything.
The questions or suggestions.
Don't worry about upsetting anybody. It's important that it happens.
And I would like to remind you again on your submissions, by us having Ni Kwesi Kwate, the Honorable Ambassador and Executive Secretary to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, you're speaking to someone that's right at the desk of the President. So keep that in mind. This is who you're speaking to. Go ahead, sir.
Dawudi Mahali. Just like to know, how can we get dual citizenship and what do we have to go through to get dual citizenship?
All right, that is your particular submission. All right, let us have a follow-up, another. Yes. Identify yourself, please.
My name is Curtis Murphy, and I would like to know, how does the National House of Chiefs correlate with the government when they created the Hampton student scheme? It was our belief that through the student scheme you would receive citizenship. But the question now is, being when it happened with the Tabone people, it's been such a long period of time. Is it still possible to get citizenship the way the Tabone got it through the National House of Chiefs?
I have to confess that I don't have the answer to everything, but at least we take it down.
What I can do is, when you get to that particular question, I would like to make a submission on that to give a little bit of clarity on your question. All right? Okay, that's the second.
Can I take one more and then?
Mr. Jerome has a question.
My question was, how can we help Ghana? I think, like not speak just for myself, just about every one of us in here came here because we wanted to come home, and we're here. We're retired. We're looking for something to do. We want to support and help our brothers and our sisters here. How can we do it? And will this meeting just come and go, or will there be something that follows after to make sure that we put this in place? Because the help that you need is here. If you can't get it here, I can get it for you outside and bring it here. Anything you need help for, we can help you with it. We built the United States. Give us a chance.
Yes, I second that.
About 2 years ago, we met right here at this university, Deputy Minister of Immigration. I said 2 years ago, I just want to set the tone. I believe this is, we've been through this so many times. We've met with people we've heard come back home, Joseph Project, all that. 2 years ago, Deputy Minister was here and said, you guys can get your citizenship, it's on the table. He gave me his card and he directed his secretary to contact us at our office in Osu. 2 years, that was 2014, calling that number, I can't get it, no response. My friend who was with me also tried calling, and the secretary never showed up. So for me, it's just rhetoric.
Do you remember the?
I have his card in my.
day?
I have his card still at my house. I don't recall anything. And I don't like to distinguish. Sorry, my name is Yao Achian, and I don't like to distinguish where I was born. I say I'm an African. Period. I don't like the hyphenated word in between. And so I get in a lot of trouble. So when you go to Cape Coast and they treat me as if I'm a foreigner, I say no. So I get in fights. I go to Moli, they want me to pay a different fee. I get in fights. I went to Ghana immigration to get my passport, and I said I'm a Ghanaian. I got arrested. Because they said you sound like a Liberian. Infiltrate the Ghanaian. And it wasn't for the head, a top guy who was a state attorney at the police office. He told him no, you don't treat a brother like that. And he revoked the arrest thing. But they were prompting sending me to court because of this. So I'm an African, period, and we want to be treated as such, but many people here will tell you we're frustrated, we're not given that due, we want our rights as citizens, that's what we are. I come back home, and we don't want any more excuses and go through this. I could get it personally, but collectively, how do we get our rights back that was taken from us?
On a strict interpretation of the law as we understand it, if you're not exactly truly this, the thing that we need to do as a people, and this is only my view, is that to make a center of this, we as Africans, African Americans, Caribbean people, with these sentiments, need to organize together. And again, in my view, I believe that a petition of some sort can be sent directly to government. It is possible to say that this has happened, we've done it several times, we don't give it down, people don't care about us, all those sentiments can arise and it is legitimate. But the essence of this message is that we need to organize ourselves as people of African descent seeking to integrate with the mother continent, and together we can move forward. I sympathize with the sentiments of the brother here, and they are entirely well founded. But as a trained lawyer, I can see how he can meet obstacles along the way. And obstacles not entirely of his doing, but obstacles they are on the scene. And we need to address this in the best possible way.
You know, I would like to build upon what the Honorable Ambassador said. The key to what he said is that we need to organize. And this is one of the fundamental problems with the African diaspora, are splintered and fragmented. You see, if we were organized into a unit, maybe it goes like the Adinkra symbols of the broom, where you find the strands of the broom. One strand is very easy to break, but you put 6 or 7 of them together, it's difficult to break them. So as long as we are running around, beating the drum and gong individually and crying, nobody hears your voice. In fact, you can be deported overnight and nobody knows what the hell happened to you. I'm telling you. But if we were organized, and even we could have our own annual festival, like other ethnic groups here do, the State House would recognize us if we could organize. But here you got the African American Association of Ghana, you got the Caribbean Association of Ghana, you got the Rastafari movement, blah, blah, blah. You got the XYZ movement here. Everybody is fragmented and not as a unit. And so Ghanaians are sitting back, and I'm telling you, I'm talking from the trenches. Ghanaians are sitting back and saying, we've never seen tribes like your tribe before. You know, we've never seen tribes like you people. And that is the fundamental issue. We got our people here with very snobbyish attitudes like you carry in the West. This is Africa, this is Ghana. And what the Honorable Kwesi Kwartey is telling you is, if you do not organize, you will be out of sight with the government and out of line. Governments only recognize organizations. So this is a wake-up call for all of you who are here today, is that we need to organize. That's one of the reasons that I established the Ministry of the Future. Hopefully we could galvanize into a unit. Now the brother here, Murphy, he had raised a very valid point about fiantra. Well, most of us who are here right now have heard what happened with fiantra. You understand what I'm saying? But he raised the issue, irrespective of what has happened with fiantra, the essence of what was done is still a valid issue. It's still a valid issue if you know how to address it. So I'm saying the essence of our problem is that we are divided. Divided. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. It's simple as that. So the Honorable Kwesi Kwartey, who is close to the head of state as his secretary, is telling you, you've got to organize. Simple.
We'll take next question from Brother Ras, Astra Krabia.
Yes, greetings everyone. Yeah. I'm already tired and still want to stand. Yes, I just want to say much appreciation, my brother, Honorable. We have met on several different platforms dealing with this issue and other political platforms that Kwesi Pratt's office and so on and so forth. And it is clear that you are in our corner. And I will endorse what Dr. Maulana said, that every single individual in here must be blamed for the situation that we are in. Because you don't organize, and when we call meetings, you don't come to meetings. When you come to meeting, you come to listen, and you come to talk, but you don't come to work. In order to get anything done, there must be practical application of doing one thing to the next. We cannot be effective unless we organize, like Dr. Maulana said, and do the work. So I didn't come here for any talk this evening, honestly speaking, because I've heard my brother several times appealing to us that I'm here to help you. I've heard Dr. Maulana and his documents and so on and so forth. So the bottom line is that we have to get up off our ass and do the work. That's the way we have to work. This is not about talking and lecture and discussion. It's about working. We need people to come and write letters, we need people to come and follow up, we need people to meet, we need people to raise funds, we need all of those practical things. And I'm really upset this evening, honestly speaking. I'm upset because I waste my time coming to these meetings at other times. And people don't turn up to do the work.
Don't be upset. Don't be upset.
Give thanks. My message now I want to say to the government, which is where my problem is. I don't see the government actually addressing the issue of reparations. There are many Caribbean countries, the CARICOM countries are on board right now with the issue of reparations. Reparation is not just for us alone. Africa have lost a whole lot. And the governments of Africa need to stand up and have some spine and demand on Africa's behalf what is owed to us. Without that political intervention, it's going to be difficult for us. So reparation is paramount because we are not going to repatriate without reparation. We need money, we need resources, and we also need to cleanse ourselves from the brainwash treatment that we got. Give thanks.
Yes, sir.
You made 2 points. First of all, you are upset by the absence of any progress in getting the government of Ghana to recognize and give you the status that you really are entitled to. And then the second issue you talk about is reparations. Now, in my view, I think the point about having a common organization or having a consistent position is clear. And your very presence here, I can feel the vibration in the room. You must have a lot of 1,001 things you could do on a Sunday afternoon, but you're here. For me, that demonstrates commitment. And I have to confess, I'm really impressed with that. So I'll make a humble suggestion. You can write some form of a petition which articulates your concerns in a very systematic and in a very reader-friendly manner. I will undertake to show it to the President, and that could be the beginning of some movement in this. I can assure you that the President himself is a historian. His father worked with the current mass government. He's a Pan-Africanist in every way, and he's very much interested in moving this agenda forward. To make matters even better, the Constitutional Act of the African Union recognizes the diaspora as the 6th region.
Right? I would like to raise an issue coming back to a question that was on the floor about organization. Now I want all of you to hear me on what I have to say because as I speak right now, this is in the making, what I'm about to say. The best day that the diaspora has for its voice to be heard and seen is the Emancipation Day ceremony, which is sponsored by the state. And emancipation is coming up. It starts, I think, the middle or the latter part of July, and it eclipses on the 1st of August because it comes from the British Abolition of Slavery Act, which was the 1st of August. So it's celebrated every year. But however, let's tune in on Ghana. This is where I'm coming from. Up in Asin Manso, there are 2 remains of African slave descendants that the government of Ghana supported and recognizes as her lost children that were returned back to their motherland. That is a Jamaican sister and an African American slave descendant. They are buried at Asin Manso. And my understanding this year that the government of Ghana is going to launch Emancipation Day on that very spot of that grave, the grave site. Now, what am I saying? They have been waiting for us, and this is where we have not measured up or owned up to our responsibility. The government is waiting for us to make an infusion into this grave site with some kind of African diaspora philosophy to identify who these people are and let us take over that particular grave site and make it into such a unifying factor to bring us together. Because this is a biblical story. Genesis chapter 15, verses 14 and 15. We are the only people recorded with fact that were taken into bondage from our motherland and spent 400 years and then returned. So I'm saying you need to start seeking information, and you could come to the meeting that we will have on the first Wednesday of the month at the Diaspora Forum, the first Wednesday of April. And the emphasis is we want to take over that gravesite, and we want to make it a unifying factor. To put it quite simple, as Muslims go to Mecca to worship the black stone and to do atonement, we want to make that gravesite an atonement area for the suffering that we have had on this 6,000-year journey, and of course the 400 years of bondage. So I would ask all of you to come on board. That could be the first step toward getting the attention of this government that we are unified on an issue that is very sensitive with the government, and they will support it. So it's the first Wednesday of April. Excuse me, of May. I'm very sorry. Of May. The first Wednesday of May, and it's at the Diaspora Forum.
Where is it?
You can call me. I'll give you my telephone number. 0243-821-125 to get more information on it. 0243-821-125. Because this is, outside of what you had mentioned a moment ago with Bianca, this is the only niche that we have that I think is a valid issue for us to ride on in terms of unifying ourselves and getting the attention of the government. And that is in Asin Manso, with the 2 slave descendants that have been buried at the expense of the government of Ghana. And even the government of Ghana even went a step further with the late Jake Obechebi Lamptey, may he rest in perfect peace. He organized under the auspices of the Ministry of Tourism in 2007 the Joseph Project. It never got off the ground, but the concept behind the Joseph Project was to acknowledge us as the children, if you will, of Israel, who had spent 400 years in bondage and were returned back to our motherland. And it seemed like our people are oblivious of these things, but these things are very serious, and you have to take them serious. That's what happened with Fiancra. People did not take it serious. But the National House of Chiefs, they performed all the rituals, they did everything, and they only can do that. What did the African diaspora do? They clapped and went home. But that is still cast in stone, and it is still valid. The National House of Chiefs comes under the authority of the Constitution of Ghana. So they cannot speak outside of the Constitution. And you have to understand that. But as Kwesi said, it has nothing to do with emotion. You know what I mean? You have to deal with facts scientifically and methodically. And most of our people get emotionalized and start big-mouthing and this, they don't want to give it. Nobody's listening to that. There are international protocols that all governments have to follow. And Charlie, if you cannot get in line and respect the protocol, you have no reason and no voice to be here. And remember, a landless people are a stateless people.
Brother Kwesi, would you tell us what tribe you belong to in Ghana? And it's for a specific reason. People don't know what Fihankra is. So like they would say, well, is Fihankra an NGO? What is it? So when the National House of Chiefs created it, they left out explaining what it is. So just for the sake that to tell us what if you say you airway or whatever, then what is airway? Is it an NGO? Thank you.
The quotas are really from Accra, but my great-great-grandfather he went to Sonia, and he stayed there so
God done. And what is a God done? Is it an NGO group? That's the problem. We don't know what, we can't explain what a linguistic group is.
I think, Honorable Ambassador, that the question that you present, you have a valid question, but the Honorable Ambassador Kwesi himself may not, be in a position right now to answer.
I'm not an expert in this.
But I can just tell you this, if you're asking, the Fiancra infusion into Ghana traditional chieftaincy was done by an indigenous Ghanaian organization. And the Fiancra was supposed to represent, like you asked him, what was his tribe, meaning that every ethnic group, tribal group in Ghana, have a paramountcy. That's how they're known, they're paramountcy. You understand what I'm saying? And Fiancra was supposed to have fitted that particular contextual fact of a paramountcy to cover the African diaspora who was settling in Ghana. Because if you come from this particular region, definitely there is a paramount chief in that area. There's a sovereignty of the area. If you're Ewe, if you're Ga, if you are Dangbe, etc. So with the African Americans, African Caribbeans, you can't say that you were any particular tribe because you've been scattered for 500 years. And Fiancra was supposed to come as an umbrella to bring all together under it and then make a declaration of sovereignty, of a paramountcy, and get the National House of Chiefs to acknowledge it. But it never got to that level except for the president at the time of the National House of Chiefs. He acknowledged it and made certain submissions of what they would do. But as I said again, the diaspora community went to sleep and did nothing to follow up on it, except for some people, and I don't want to go into that, who went into business and making money and etc. But at any rate, this is what you're looking at. I think what the spirit of what Kwesi is saying, that we have to organize this type of petition. And he being right next to the president, he's already said it, that he would submit it to the president and even try to get us an audience with the president. It's tedious, but that's the way things work.
So a longer and more intense debate can ensue.
I understand.
And this thing could be debated in Parliament and all that. I can assure you that the majority of people from Ghana are very proud of the association with the diaspora. Actually, it's the essence of the national symbol, the Black Star. A lot of people do not know that the symbol Black Star came from Marcus Garvey. So all this is going to engender another new debate, which is going to take our policy and our position to a whole new level. So there's work to be done, as much from you and from us. Okay. Can I thank you and ask permission with you?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to ask because you said the way we should do this is to get a petition together and then we'll go through the same channel.
That is what I think.
Yeah, hold on.
I may not be totally correct, but that's
a point. So we're going to go use the same colonial law to liberate ourselves when that law hasn't worked for us. Because these guys who still wear the white wigs, they're still following the colonial rule. So the same law is going to ask us to go and go through the channels, go through motion, exercise patience. It's not going to happen. In 19... did this, Rawlings did this. And 1 second, please. I'm going to say something. I know I'm emotional on that.
Finish.
Yeah, please, thank you, Honorable. The gentleman brother over here, I don't know your name, I forget. The gentleman said he's willing to offer anything to Ghanaians to help. We come here making contributions. People come here paying school fees, have free schools. Van Kursky and Associates, look it up. He brought $2 billion to Ghana, $1 billion in cash and $1 billion in kind to help Ghanaians for economic development. That money can't be found up till now. from 1980s till now. So you guys want our money, but you don't want to give us our citizenship rights. All this is BS.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us do this. The Honorable Ambassador has made his position clear, has stated what we need to do. And, you know, he said over and over again, emotions would not get you what you're trying to get. It would not get you the dual citizenship. It will not get you a Ghanaian passport. There are protocols that you have to follow. And he's saying, we are fortunate to have a president at the seat of power who is of Pan-African views. And he's going to set up a meeting for us to sit with him. But we can't go in there shouting. You don't do that at that level. So let us get our act at the ground level together. And he's already said what we need to do. We need to formulate, organize, and put together a very sound petition of these concerns. And then from there, it will be taken to the head of state. So let us once again appreciate the presence of this great man who's here. The meeting will continue. Yeah, hold it. I will see him out, and we will come back and get into substance of this meeting. The meeting's going to continue, but the honorable guest himself has to go. Let's give him another round of applause.
I got it.
The citizenship was provided for someone like Mr. Mali, so shall it be processed and accorded to all of us brothers and sisters of Gambia. So the journey has begun, and we have to give some credit to President Mahama that in spite of all the issues addressing his attention, he has time to address this. So I can assure you that this is being done. I shall not take too much of your time. I will once again thank you for being kind enough to listen to us, and I shall be ready to answer whatever questions that I may be able to answer, and I think we probably have a more interesting interaction from them. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and thank you for being here in Ghana with us. Thank you very much. The floor is open for questions, so if you want to ask Honorable any question, the floor is open. Do you have an extra microphone? Good afternoon, everybody, and distinguished Secretary. Yeah, I'm a member of the Eastern Region of Cronicles. We were asked previously by the Honorable Secretary before to come better organized, united, and work as a team to project our questions and concerns concerning citizenship in Ghana. And as per the request and in good spirit, we present ourselves together. So we have 4 questions that we want to ask you concerning the citizenship. If you would humbly help us out in answering them. Number 1, can the Secretary describe the process by which this petition will be expedited? I can tell you here that I received incredible applications, came through Professor Maulana. I had my officials in the office process them, analyze them, trace of them, where they start from, how long they've been here, what they're doing, in some kind of order. And I put together a letter from my office listing all of them, and I sent it to Mr. Volunteer. Now, I sent them together with the attestations that accompany them. Now they are processing them and judging them, putting them against each other. And just before I came here, I asked them, they said they've almost finished that process. They are now going to send to the minister, the chief director, who will send recommendations to the ministers, and then to come through the immigration regulations to the office of the president. Then, as he has assured you, I'm going to have a discussion with him. We're going to look at each one of them, as he has done for the others. And as soon as he gives the approval, we're going to write to them, and then they will now make things available for you. You kind of swear the oath, you can citizenship, and then begin to process your passports. And law allows us dual nationalization to the city of Ghana. You do not have to use the citizenship of the United States or Jamaica or wherever. It will still be the citizenship of Ghana. We know that deep in your heart you have come here because you love this country when you come out to Africa. So this just happened. Thank you.
The genesis of how this started was I have to explain that the executive secretary to the president at the time, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, was the ambassador Ni Kwesi Kwartey. Ni Kwesi Kwartey and I go back to 1986. One of the things that he said that resonated in my mind, he said that the African American and the African diaspora, but particularly the African American community, is so divided. He doesn't see any unity. And I couldn't argue with him at the time, even though I've been corrected by the former president of the African American Association of Ghana, Madam Brenda Joy. She said, we are not divided, we are diverse. So I accept that. But the long and short of all that was that I had my mind, I've already been a citizen of Ghana. But I will recite what Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said at the old Polo Grounds on the 6th of March 1957. He said that Ghana's independence is meaningless unless it is linked to the total independence of the African continent. And I said my citizenship is meaningless unless it is linked to my other brothers and sisters becoming citizens. Because united we stand, divided we fall. Where there's a collective effort, you got unity, you got power, you got a voice. And whether you know it or not on this continent, the continent does not recognize individualism. That's why we have tribes. Not that I'm pushing tribalism, but collectivity is the essence of having a voice to be heard in the castle or in the Flagstaff House. So what I did was, and with the secretary, I designed an application form. Many of you probably have a copy of that application form. That application form was well seasoned. I sat with the president. I went to the president's office 4 times. I sat with the executive secretary, and I was told to use that as a basis. And on the 11th of March, 2016, I called an extraordinary meeting of the African diaspora community. Members and some of your faces who are here today attended that meeting at the Institute of African Studies. Just to be quite honest with you, many of the people who did attend, they thought I was joking. They thought it was a forest. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, those who did fill out the application, we made Dr. Campbell's office the repository. And on the 4th of September, I submitted it to the executive secretary, to the president. Long and short of all of that, there's a lot of jockeying going back and forth. My people don't know. I'm not here to tell you about my knocks, my pains, my ups and my downs. I did. We never asked anybody for not one pest swap. You understand what I'm saying? And it didn't come like manna from heaven. But if you have the good of the community in your heart, you don't think about remuneration of whatever your efforts are. And that's exactly where I was going. I wanted to see our brothers and sisters get their citizenship. Now, what was it? We collected a total of 29 applications, with one added, a Jamaican sister who's been in Ghana for years, Macy Howell, and it made 30. And so it came to naught. At one point, we didn't think it was going to fly, but by late November, I knew the president was going to put his signature on it. And then in the early part of December, it was a situation where the executive order, and let me about people are very emotionalized from the Atlantic slave trade, and they're saying that, you know, we spent 400 years in bondage, we didn't go out of here with a visa, why should we have to come back in? But I just want to tell you, in diplomatic forum that has no room, they don't listen to that. You got to deal with facts, and money talks, BS walks. You understand what I'm saying? So we began to look at the viability economically of the diaspora community. I began to talk that over with the executive secretary. He began to talk to the president. Whether you know it or not, the African diaspora community here, and I have submitted a report. Now I don't want to talk too long because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs entered into this metrics, and they called a special meeting on the 26th of October, and that was to make the assessment. If you do not know, the African Union has a mandate, and the mandate is to all 54 states of an immigration integration policy of Africans in the diaspora into the African states, and they want the feedback from these African countries. So we were called in on the 26th of October, and this the reason I'm mentioning this is that we have all been talking about the emotional part of wanting to be a citizen, but none of us has ever looked at the economic viability of what we have and what we're contributing to this economy. So I took the bull by the horns and I put together a paper, and I think I got the information via Brenda Joyce on the number of Africans of the diaspora who are living in Ghana. It was a conservative figure because we know it's more than 5,000, but I used 5,000 as a basis to do a financial flow. And I wanted to look to see on a yearly basis what is the amount of money are we infusing into this GDP of Ghana. I came up with $1 billion into the economy. That is remunerations from, say, remittances from Western Union, MoneyGram, pensioners who are on pensions. You get your pension checks every month, anywhere from $700, $1,000, up to $3,000 plus. That goes bank transfers. All of that, when you factor it together, this is not an IMF loan, it's not a World Bank loan. It is a gift to this economy. So having said that, I told us exactly what happened. They waived the fees, they waived the 7 years, they waived the language. And out of the blue, extra number at the last hour jumped in on this petition. But that's all right. They got their citizenship too. Is that right, Brenda Joyce? Absolutely. So the issue here is, what is the way forward in 2017? Because we have right now in reserve 50 applications that were submitted to me on the 23rd of October 2016. But the secretary to the president told me, no, we have already submitted at that time 29. Let that 29 go until it's approved and we get closure then we'll bring the other 50. And we were poised to bring the 50. But on the 7th of December, 2016, you know what happened. All is not finished because the new government that is coming in, we are working tediously. And we're going to approach it from the same perspective. And I've heard good reviews on His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa on his perspective of Africans in the diaspora. And let me also point out something. Madam President, basically that is what has happened. But I think that we need to also enlighten our members here today of the African American Association of Ghana that I am told by Sister Ima Cruz, she's not the only one, I'm told by Sister Anna, and there's another sister that got 40,000. Sister Ima Cruz has told me there's close to about 180,000 interested brothers and sisters into that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, as at Friday, I received 187,900 views on Facebook as a result of a message that I sent out on New Year's. I kissed my ring, got my citizenship video. We got over 5,000 comments and over 7,000 shares. And it just shows that the interest that is out there, people wanting to leave America. I think that it says that though some of us have received our citizenship, that just receipt of that citizenship is not enough. We have to do a couple things. We have to be able to bring others in. Even before we bring others in, we need to take a look at home for those who have been here for a long time that did not get their citizenship. And as Dr. Maulana says, they have been collecting application forms based on the form that Dr. Maulana developed. In fact, I submitted 19 new applications. And what I would like to be able to do today is that those members of our community, those long-standing members of our community that did not get submitted, that we need to prepare applications and submit it.
Okay, out your wife. As president, she has a board. But I asked her, we need a secretary. When I say we need, the platform that was used to get your citizenship, as I said at the outset, it started with our study group, Ministry of the Future. And Ministry of the Future is still functioning as I speak. The importance of this request that we be given space to meet here, perhaps on a weekly basis, in pursuit of this citizenship issue, and I guess the same thing, working in concert with and under the umbrella or affiliated with the African American Association of Ghana. Now, that is my humble request, is because we don't want to go too far outside to look for another venue. But one thing is certain, we're going to continue the momentum for the brothers and sisters that yet are seeking their citizenship to be Ghanaians. And we have created a model where the Ministry of the Interior now has said there is a model. Let it not die. Let this not get too cold. We must keep this momentum going. And so I'm saying to you, Sister Teresa, we need a space now as a secretary so that we can sit down, strategize, formalize a conservative way to deal with this issue of citizenship, and even to draft a congratulatory letter. I've heard no one say yes about acknowledgement and welcoming the new president. And that should be done by our community. It should be one of the first things we should do, is to congratulate the president for his efforts in winning the election. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So, having said that, I don't know if there's anything else that I need to say that I have not said. If there is, Anna, Ima Cruz, have I left out anything at this stage that needs to be known? You got your citizenship.
I'll recognize you.
Yeah.
I want to let you know.
So, I've covered that. I mean, you got, I guess my ending words are that it ain't over with yet. And I want to continue the momentum. And I would like to use our platform as the repository.
Dr. Maulana, what is the relationship between the Ministry of the Future and the Diaspora Coalition, which has also been championing this for a number of years, as you know, I'm a priest. So that's another organization that came to us maybe 6 months ago to join and participate the Diaspora Coalition. So now, how does all of this fit together? Because AAAG has been asked to join the coalition as well.
He's answering. Wait a minute.
Did I answer?
Yes.
Well, my answer to that question would be predicated upon factuality. I was asked to be a member of the Pan-African Diaspora Coalition. And I had my differences with them in 2009, but I was asked again, I believe it was in 2015. So the long and the short, what I'm trying to say then is simply this. I'm interested in the end result. I'm interested in us, succeeding in our efforts. So if I ask the question, to answer your question, what has the Pan-African Diaspora Coalition has to show for the last 9 years in our community on helping the African diaspora community? And I look length and breadth of Accra and Ghana. I don't see nothing. But I did see something. When all of the efforts, and I don't want to self-aggrandize myself, but the efforts that I made to bring about your citizenship, you don't know what I went through. Then all of a sudden, at the 11th hour,
That answer, Sister Anupus is the next one recognizing. Oh, just a point of clarity. As a member of the coalition, in terms of what the coalition's input has been to part of this process, is that as a collective, there are 10 organizations, and those 10 organizations came together and developed a concept paper. And that concept paper also dealt with the issue of our citizenship. What I think is really very important, aside from just citizenship, is that the statement that was made was that we as Africans from the diaspora have the right of return, which is a little bit different than just the fact that they bestowed citizenship. In 1992, Dr. Maulana was also involved, Tihankra and others. We wrote a memorandum of understanding to the government then, and our request was for the right of return. So we shouldn't get it confused. And everyone should be aware that it has been a collective effort in order to get this done. Dr. Maulana has picked up that ball and gone full steam ahead with it to make it happen. For those that did not get the citizenship this time, for several reasons, either one, they believed that we could make it happen. When people were asked, and I personally asked my community if they were interested, and they said no. There were 14 people that came out of our region, including my sister, who worked very hard for us to get it. So I don't want to see a separation. We're talking about unifying our community. Very good, very good. We're not talking about throwing stones. Whoever didn't do what, we're going to settle with that. But if we're going to move together as a community and make sure that our elders and long-term livers here in Ghana get pushed through on that second wave, if and when there is a second wave.
Exactly.
Nobody knows.
Exactly.
But one of the things that's very important that has to happen is that we have to develop a criteria for those who are going to come after. with 187,000 people wanting to know how do we get into Ghana, is not a game that we're playing. Okay? So let us bear that in mind, and whoever didn't do whatever they were supposed to do, we know what to do with them also. And with that, I want to say